Chris Rose.
Not answering my FaceTimes. Clase.
Stephen Kwan.
Ooh, Cutter?
Broke my bat, but got the hit.
Yeah.
Oh! Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. It's team profile and projection season. The 9th ranked team by you, the people, for the people. It's the Cleveland Guardians in our DirecTV Rewind segment. If you're ready to transform your baseball watching experience, head to directtv.com/JohnBoy or scan the QR code on the screen to learn more. Last year, your Guard Dogs, they won the AL Central 92-69. Nice. They lost in the ALCS 4-1 to the New York Yankees. They were the third best team at home. They were the third best team in extras. They were the third best team in one-run games. They were the third best teams in runs allowed per game. How about that? It comes in threes. What didn't come in threes was their bullpen, which was ones basically across the board. Best ERA at home, best on the road, best whip, everything you would want, which just feels weird because the starting pitching stats aren't that impressive. The hitting stats, I mean, they were middle of the pack, but it was a couple guys really carrying the load, if you will, Trev. Who's new in the zoo?
They had to add some pieces because they made some significant changes to the lineup. They brought in my guy Carlos Santana, who I believe is going to be very, very good for this team, this clubhouse. Obviously, has been in the organization before, but really had an incredible year with the Twins last year. I got to see it firsthand, and I got to see him. I say this all the time about veteran guys, like part player, part coach.
Yeah.
Like he really, really was, especially for the Latin guys. Just another. I had such a great talk with him in the batting cages in New York, just about ball, about kind of like his baseball life, man. I can't say enough about this guy. So 1 year, $12 million deal. Love this fit for them, especially obviously after losing Naylor. Paul Sewald comes in on a 1 year, $7 million deal. He was with the Diamondbacks last year. Jacob Junis, who I think is a pretty underrated pitcher, can kind of be a swing guy, give you a spot start, be in the pen as well. 1 year, $4.5 million deal. And if I say underrated, look at the stats last year. Milwaukee and Cincinnati pitched 67 innings to a 2.69.
Yep.
Almost got the 2 WAR as a reliever. That's really good. They bring in John Means for a little starting pitching depth on a 1 year, $1 million deal. And there's a club option for 2026, $6 million there. That is, he's hurt this year, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's for next year. They've done that a couple different times. That's kind of a recipe for them. Like that. Here's your guy, Luis Ortiz, comes over from the Pittsburgh Pirates in a trade. He was acquired with prospects Hartle and Kennedy for outfielder Spencer Horowitz. Pirates really believe in that guy. You like Luis Ortiz. 135 innings pitched last year, 3.32 ERA. And then another guy who can be both the starting pitcher and reliever, Slade Ciccone, comes over in a trade, in that Josh Naylor trade. Last year, he had 13 games started, 77 innings pitched with a 6.6 ERA. They obviously see something they like in this guy, and they're going to figure some things out. Don't put that past them at all. A couple minor league deals, former teammate of mine, Vinny Velasquez, Parker Mushinski, like that name, Kobe Allard, Riley Pint, all on minor league deals. They re-signed Shane Bieber to a 2 year, $26 million deal. There's a player option for 26. They bring back Hedges, obviously, because he's the heartbeat of that dang team. Chaps with no pants. Those are assless chaps. For all chaps are assless. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yeah.
He did that for a all-star video for Ramirez. Nice butt. So that's who they brought in, Jake.
Yeah.
They obviously lost some people. Who did they lose?
Austin Trim the Hedges. They lost a couple old dogs throwing the pill. Matthew Boyd and Alex Cobb both made it back for the playoff run. Pedro Vila got in the mix, too. He's in the NPB now. Josh Naylor traded away. Andres Jimenez traded away. So new right side of the infield. Nick Sandlin, he gone. Eli Morgan, he gone. Strzelecki, Miles Straw, Cookies Carrasco, and James Karinchak. baseball happens fast sometimes, don't it? So a lot of parts in and out. I can't believe how many pitchers they brought in. That kind of scares me. Trev, the lineup.
Well, pitching is kind of their thing. They're like, we bring these guys in, we'll fix them. The lineup is interesting. I think we're going to spend a lot of time on this today. It does seem a little light, but they've done this before, guys. Stephen Kwan in left field, Kyle Manzardo.
Yeah.
They truly believe in this guy. DHing third base, Jose Ramirez. Can't say anything more about him that hasn't been said. First base, Carlos Santana, like we talked about. Lane Thomas, Will Brennan out there in center field and right field. Bo Naylor will be the catcher. Gabriel Arias at second base, and Rocchio, that smooth man, will be at shortstop. On the bench, Tyler Freeman, Austin Hedges, Big Christmas, Yohensky Noel, Jonathan Rodriguez. Some names to watch: Juan Brito, Daniel Schneemann, David Fry. We'll see what's going on with him. He had elbow surgery right the day before Halloween. So that is the lineup. We'll get into that in a bit. Talk to us about the meat and potatoes here, Jake, the rotation and the bullpen.
Well, I should be more excited for the rotation. Tanner Isabai, he's our guy. He's been steady and very strong. Penn Lively, your old fishing buddy. He's throwing innings for
more
them.
Than fishing together.
Big Gavin Williams. A lot of people like him to fully break out this year. Luis Ortiz, that just reeks of sneaky big ad of this offseason. Sticks McKenzie, supposedly throwing harder than ever, looking to bounce back after injury. And then, we should see Shane Bieber come back at some point. Joey Cantillo, saw him. Slade Ciccone, Logan Allen. But the bullpen, basically carried this team to a first-place finish last year. Emmanuel Clase, high in the Cy Young voting. Cade Smith, Gaddis, Heron, all electric. Paul Sewald, why did they sign this guy? We'll get into it. Walters, Nikhazy, nope. Jacob Junis, like you mentioned. Sam Hentges will be out for the whole year. He was really good for them. Trevor Stephan, Sobrowski. So we'll see who else is in that bullpen, but you gotta respect them. As Rob posts the video, just the best relief pitching in baseball last year, the Cleveland Guardians. So, Coach Trev, we've got an interesting one here because it's your AL Central. This team is kind of the American League Brewers. They win a lot, although 2023 was a definite blip, Tito's last year. And yeah, man, when you look at the lineup, they need a lot to go right to be a scary lineup. To be a good lineup, they need a lot to go right. But does it matter? Because they pitch and catch the ball.
I just don't know if it mattered because we probably were saying the same thing last year going into the season. Didn't know exactly how great that bullpen was going to be. They did carry the team last year. But Jake, man, they 640 winning percentage in April, 679 in May, 560 in June, 520 in July. The only losing month was in August at 414. They went 12-17 there. And then when they had a chance to close out the division, they did 15-10 for a 600 winning percentage in September. They just kept winning games, man. And then a lot of that was, let's get a lead. Let's play some defense. Let's protect that lead. Here comes the bullpen. That was the formula. And if you have a couple guys that can drive in runs and hit with runners in scoring position and move guys, and you're taking the extra base, that's kind of all you have to do when you have what they had last year, which was just an absolutely lights out bullpen. Can they repeat that? I guess is the question. Yes, in my mind, they can repeat that formula. There is a lot of crazy projections out there for this team and not favorable to the Guardians. I mean, we're talking about most of the projections have this team finishing right at 500. And for a team that won 92 freaking games last year, and they lost some people. Like Andres Jimenez, I think for that clubhouse was huge. Josh Naylor is. I said Austin Hedges, the heartbeat of that team. I think maybe Naylor, what would he be then?
The
the
soul.
nutsack,
Yeah. The balls.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's gone. So is there a different vibe there now? I think Carlos Santana is not that type of leader. He's not going to be a guy that's headbutting his manager or going crazy. Like that's not who he is, but he can be a different type of leader. I think both of us probably feel the same way about this team. We actually said it before we started recording. We give the benefit of the doubt to the Astros all the time. And I don't think we give the benefit of the doubt to the Guardians, and we probably should. You mentioned 2023, but they just win baseball games, man. Like the fact that some of these projections have come out that low, perks my ears a little bit, but at the same time, it's just they consistently find ways to win. They have a formula, like play D, manufacture runs and hand it over to the bullpen. Like they've proven it to be a winning formula over the years. So like we're looking at a lineup and yeah, it's light and I don't know if it matters, Jake.
Yeah, it's the bullpen thing really has me confused right now because it was so good last year. They had two guys finish top 10 in the Cy Young. Class A and Cade Smith, man, who finished 5th in Rookie of the Year, 9th in the Cy Young, 75.1 innings,
filthy.
103 strikeouts, a 1.91 ERA. I guess for me, there's a little natural devil's advocate in me that's like, they can't be that good again, right? But they all can. No one is over 27 years old. Like, these guys should all be in their prime. I guess, yeah, my first hurdle I need to get over is I just think in the world of bullpens where one pitch can change everything, I think it's going to be really tough to replicate this. But I wouldn't pick any of these guys to fall off. Like Class A has been dominant. Cade Smith full on broke out. Gaddis, he's one of your top guys you don't want to come back and step in on. Like, so I don't know. I need to come to grips with that because, okay, let me spin myself in a positive way. The rotation should be better this year. Like, Ben Lively and Bybee were good. Carlos Carrasco got rocked. Logan Allen got knocked around the park. Gavin Williams wasn't very good. Sticks got hit decently when he was out there. So it's like, okay, so now I can dream on potentially one of those guys snapping into gear, and the rotation should be a step up from last year. This team's a weird mental exercise, man, because the organization deserves a ton of credit. It's talent-wise, in the top, this is our 9th-ranked team. It doesn't feel like they stack up. And even Milwaukee, who, we're comparing them, Milwaukee was at 11th. Like, I would take Milwaukee over this team straight up, and maybe that's me being a fool.
Well, let's talk about what this team does well. Obviously, Jose Ramirez is at the top of that. I think he's a sneaky pick to win the MVP
every
year. Right? Like,
yeah.
If Judge doesn't have a crazy, homer year this year, like, why not Jose Ramirez? So he does that well. He's going to hit with runners in scoring position. We talk about Naylor. We talk about Jimenez. This is the heartbeat of the team. This is the pillar of the franchise. He's the guy. So, like, he's going to be there. Steven Kwan's going to be causing mayhem at the top of the lineup. Those two guys together is, a very, very good 1-2 punch. One guy we didn't even mention who, helped them get off to a really good start last year is David Fry. I believe he underwent elbow surgery, and is he going to come back at some point this year? I believe he will. That was huge for them. That's kind of okay. When I watched this team last year, and I talked to Chris Rose about this, it just seemed like they had a guy step up every series and drive in the big run, like get the big hit. And it wasn't the same guy all the time. So the overall numbers, for a lot of this team, don't look great. But like Will Brennan or Rocchio would have a big knock every once in a while. Like they found ways to win baseball games because different guys throughout the year stepped up in these situations. And like, I think that can help you. If it was just one guy doing it, I'd be like, they're not going to repeat that this year. But the fact that they had multiple guys throughout last year continue to get the big hit, that kind of like breeds a mentality throughout the organization. I think that's where a lot of times when you look at this team on paper, you're like, I don't know. But it's the ability to take the extra base, move runners, and not necessarily always hit with runners in scoring position, but like get the big hit to put your team up. Like they did that all the time. Like all the games that I watched, I felt like somebody new stepped up. And it was just like, you knew what you were going to get with Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor and Kwan and Fry at the beginning of the year. Again, it was huge for them, but it was the auxiliary pieces that were just stepping up series after series and putting themselves in a position to win series. And that's what they did last year. So like that can be your mentality. Let's play defense. Let's play small ball. Let's just get the lead and hand it to the bullpen. That's a winning formula.
Yeah. And I don't think the recipe is even a secret anymore. If you're not one of the teams that can sign Juan Soto or Anthony Santander or whoever the big boppers are that year, like you need everyone on the field to play defense. And when I look at the Guardians roster, I'm pretty much like, yep, all of these guys at their position, they can play high-level D. If you can do that, there's a good chance you're athletic, which means you run the bases well and you do the little things. And you know what? When the Guardians are in a position where it's first and second, nobody out, if it's in the bottom of the lineup, you're probably getting the sack bunt to try to set up some what we consider old-school baseball, where there might be other teams that are like, oh, we're going to hit our 3-run homer, and you also might hit a double play ball, and the inning might be over. So there's something in that recipe that some of these middle to small market teams use, and are executing at a high level, with Jose Ramirez being a kingpin in the lineup. And Stephen Kwan, man, like I was looking at the differences between the 23 and 24 Guardians. The thing that jumped off to me the most was Stephen Kwan had a down year. And when you think about straws that stir the drink, Stephen Kwan at the top of that lineup sets the tone. It's in front of Ramirez. It sets up the whole lineup. He plays Gold Glove defense. He's one of my favorite players to watch play baseball. Third most outfield assists since 2022. The way he gets the ball, I think on a lot of other teams, we would probably be talking about Stephen Kwan, the center fielder, and they have him in left, and they usually have a crazy athlete in center. That the Guardians are going to play guard ball, and I think it's a little bit, what's the division going to do? Where are your Twins going to be at? Like, does it all click? Does it click for a regular season for the Tigers instead of the final 2 months? The Royals, where are they at? It's interesting. I kind of like we say with Milwaukee, I think the Guardians laugh a little bit. Like, whatever recipe they have pretty much works. When you were going through all the pitchers they brought in, like, think about what we're talking about with the Cleveland Guardians. They spent $7 million for Paul Sewald. Like, I love Paul Sewald. I think we've just gone through a list of teams that we'd be like, hey, could the Texas Rangers use Paul Sewald? Like, we've gone through a lot of teams that could have used Paul Sewald. Did the best bullpen in baseball need him? No. But whatever their recipe tells them, it told them to go get that guy, and they're probably going to run back a top 3 bullpen again.
No, I mean, they're definitely going to run back a top 3 bullpen. I don't know if it's going to be because of Paul Sewald. He struggled a little bit last year. Maybe they can find that again for him because that's what they do.
For these Guardians. That's real money.
Yeah, you're right. They went out and spent money, and they saw something that they like. No doubt about that. I was just looking at some runners in scoring position stats last year. I guess good, not great. I think, like I said, I don't think it was all the time. It just felt like at the right time.
Yeah.
Like hitting with runners in scoring position when you're down 5 runs or you're up 5 runs. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like game on the line. It just felt like they were getting the big hit all the time. They were 7th in OBP with runners in scoring position last year at 346. I think they were 10th in slug, which is higher than their obviously overall numbers. They just kind of found ways to get it done. This does come down to a division talk with this team, because you say what you want about the AL Central. There was 3 teams in the playoffs last year. You talk about, they had to play the White Sox, this and that. Schedule's as balanced as it's ever been. Everybody got to play the White Sox last year. Okay. But the teams surrounding them, I think they are all right there. Like, pick a favorite between the Guardians, the Royals, the Tigers, and the Twins is very, very hard to do it. Computers like the Twins. I'm basically like a computer. I'm looking at this over-under, Jake, and I honestly don't know what to do with it. I do not know what to do with it, because there's a lot of things that you look at this roster on paper, and that's the exercise we're doing right now before the season, and they're like, there's a lot of things not going to like about this team. But then you remember kind of like the intangibles and the fact that they do have a team identity. They're one of the most fascinating franchises in baseball. I believe there's a stat out there, like since 2012, they have the second most wins in baseball next to the Dodgers.
Wow.
That's
good franchise.
Yes. So I don't know, man. I don't really know what else there is to say. Are there some prospects on the way? Is Travis Bazzana going to be up there causing havoc with Kwan and Ramirez? Like, maybe. I just watched a bunch of clips about him selling bubble gum to get to America from Australia in his youth days. I love this guy. Chris Rose went nuts when they picked him in the draft. I
don't know about
always
Bazzana.
Going to be different people coming up with the Guardians, and they do think differently. They play differently, and that's why we love them. Yeah,
Chase DeLauder, big prospect. He could be on the path this year. Juan Brito, Arias, it feels like they always have a litany, not sure if that's a word, of middle infielders that they definitely play defense, and if they hit, they're a 5-WAR player. That Andres Jimenez is gone. I do want to see, when you talk world-class defense, he had that. He also lost the stick last year. So there's room for anything I wouldn't like about the Guardians. There's room for improvement, because it's not like they had it last year. I guess
it's a big hole.
Josh
Naylor, big hole
Naylor
at second base.
Josh Naylor hit 30-plus homers, hair on fire. Santana, he's going to be 39 this year. Like, at 1 year, it has to fall off. I'm not saying it is this year, because his numbers were sick, and I want him on the Yankees in the offseason, so I'm not playing that card. But that could be the only thing I think we look back and we're like, well, that was a big missing piece. But if one of these young guys clicks, especially Manzardo, who they're slotting up high in the rotation lineup, with that little wind tunnel we've got in Cleveland now, that could be 30 homers. Why not?
30?
Why not?
All right, why not?
Wind tunnel. Matt Wallner.
If you're a Guardians fan, I think you understand there's holes on the roster, there's payroll limitations, but you have to be stoked on the fact that at least your organization has a clear vision and has figured out just ways to at least win in the regular season. And by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this right behind me. Get my head out of the way. It's a Jason Kipnis tweet right there.
You love
legend.
Him. I like him.
I think
too.
he threw out a first pitch in the playoffs. Like, can I get that honor?
Get the Twins to the playoffs. Let's go to the over-under. It's brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook. You guys know. Go to DraftKings. Baseball's heating up. NBA is rolling. And our partners at DraftKings, they are the king of NBA player props. Go in there. Whatever game you're about to watch. Points, rebounds, steals, assists, whatever. Sometimes they combine them all, and you can just bet on that. Go check it out at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you use code Talkin. So, if you're not on there, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Code Talkin, $5 on any wager, $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code Talkin only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Trev, one last thing I want to mention before you tell me the over-under. Stephen Vogt, one of the most beloved guys in baseball, comes in last year, 90-plus wins. We're looking at this roster and we're pointing at a lot of things. You know, if this was a more famous manager, would we be giving more credit for the bullpen? Would we be giving more credit for things feeling right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he has obviously the ability to see when to make changes, maybe more than anybody in the game of baseball as a very recently retired catcher, who that's your job is to read body language on pitchers. I think he's obviously able to do that with the best of them. And players want to play for him. One of my favorite teammates of all time, Steve Vogt.
Wow. What's the over-under at, Coach?
Would he say that about me?
No.
No. The over-under is
hot
ridiculous.
Wife.
That's what everyone says about me. Don't know how he bagged her. 82 and a half.
Stop.
Now, Jake, stop. I know we're going crazy, and we're thinking back to seasons past. But if we go back to 2021, okay? Because 2020, everyone hates that year. 2020 is horrible. I actually had a decent time, a lot of family time, but still I try to forget it. 2021, they went 80 and 82. Okay. Then 2022, they went 92 and 70. 2023, they went 76 and 86. Then last year, they went 92 and 69. So there has been a pattern of good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year. 82 and a half, though? Are you ready to lock it in? Because that's the facial expression that you're giving me.
It just shouldn't be the line. You know, everything you just said, I understand. Right? But it feels like a Seattle-ish floor. Like I was expecting to hear 84 and a half or 85 and a half. 82 and a half, that number's too low for what this team does. Like I'm trying to think of where they're always going to pitch the ball. Whoever is on the mound for them is going to pitch the ball well. And they're going to be able to play defense, which in a Major League Baseball game, that's enough for 500 that I was so ready to go under, but I was expecting the number to be four wins higher.
I'm having difficulties with this. I don't expect them to lose under 82 games or under 83 games. But I put my betting brain on and it's like, why is the number that way?
I got it figured out.
In 3, 2, 1.
It's over.
Over. Yeah.
Trev, I'm a man of the people. Nothing more, nothing less. Our people of Talking Baseball put this team at 9 for a reason. Okay? It's simple as that. So that's crazy. Another thing, my final words on the Guards. I'm very interested to see how they're signing pitchers who are hurt and coming back later in the season. It kind of worked for them last year.
Yeah.
That they're kind of running that back, and it'd be just a very interesting, hey, if we can get the team to the dance every year and we can get a higher level pitcher at a discount because they're going to miss the first half of the year, it's just an interesting little baseball theory that I think has merit to it.
You should go start trading and signing everyone that has TJ and just be like, we're signing you. We're going to pay you to rehab this year, and then you're coming back to us.
Pitchers just get everything, man. Even when they're hurt, they're getting value.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Frankie Montas. Whoa.
Swerve around that corner. Whoa. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a good review. Leave a comment. What do we get wrong? What do we get right? Nameless Jeff. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back with the 8th team.